introduction video to the 2019 Daikomyosai, right? Daikomyo means the great light, right? And we always have it in the month of June. And in June is also, for some of you guys that keep up with Mother Nature, it's also the summer solstice. So the light coming back, it's into the sun, going into the summer and that sort of thing. The great thing about the Daikomyosai is that every year we get an opportunity for those who really are focused to come in. And everyone sitting here today had to have been focused to a certain point. Because if you wasn't focused and you didn't want it, you wouldn't be sitting here in 100-degree weather wearing black outfits, sweating your ass off, just trying to find a little piece of balance in your life. That's a fact. So every one of you...
Oizuki or Fudoken, okay? So as he comes in, I step off and I'm striking here with Urokanuke here. Now see how my body's aligned. I'm turning the hip and I'm coming in with Shuto to the Nagare, striking down. Now, I'm giving him a target, right? He got right here. So at this position, it's like, you know, like the idea of ninjutsu, right? It's there, but it's not there. It's transparent. He sees the opening, but I'm going to take that away from him. So he's going to do a front snap kick right here. I cross, I kick up right there, and as I step down, I'm driving my Shito Ken into the upper ribs, driving it this way, right? And then I'll step back and into Ichimoto. So we're kind of I hook, strike here, and then I'll come out. So we're kind of moving with their energy a little bit. When you're doing this technique, I want you guys to think about two magnets. There's an energy, we all have an energy about us, okay? And your body is kind of like an antenna. It receives all sorts of energy surrounding us, and just as it gives energy off. And if you can open yourself up to that energy, you can feel it. There's not to sound like Yoda, but there's a force around us, this energy that's around us, and if you can connect to that, you can use it. So many people fail to train with that skill set that they can't connect to it, or they don't believe it exists. People that don't believe in something always chalk it up as, well, they rationalize their explanation for, right? But if you know what you're looking for, then you don't have to rationalize anything. You understand what it is, right? Here, grab, and then I slide in, my knee strike into the knee here, bang, and I shift one down, and then take it. Here, he throws the kick, I kick, and what I want to do is I want to slide right behind it. See, my knee is behind his knee. This hand is going to come through, and basically the technique of the nage waza we're doing is called kofu nage. So as I bump through, I press this direction here. The one thing that's different with the Daikomyosai, say the Tomoru camp or the stealth camp or any of the little workshops that we do throughout the year, right? Those little Saturday workshops. This is the time of the year where I really focus on the inner workings of this organization. You know what I mean? And I've said this countless times on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or whatever. It's not like, you know, and other organizations use the same slogans. This is something I made up. But it's not like not a secret organization, just an organization with secrets, right? And I think that the people who are in the end know. The people who are not in the end, they don't know. Now in this position here, she steps in with the ski. As I step off and I rotate up, she comes in with the push. I push up and I make sure my hand is high, up, come through, and rotate through. Step forward and high, right? And I back up a little bit. Now I'm gonna go for the legs, and he jumps, and I'm gonna back up a little bit. I'm gonna slow it down and throw it in there, and he catches. Right, and at this point I'm gonna go over the sword like this, I yank it down, and then he's gonna come in with the kick, and I'm gonna pull, over the top, nice cinch. I push, bang, here, I step behind, boom, there it is. Notice I kept it on there, here, lift up, I get the cut. Knee, sun, pop, underneath, throw. Now that the weight is transferred, I've got 100% of this one, I'll then move to the next step, toe, heel. Point to the head is called uki ashi, which means floating foot. Even in the Bansen Shukai, although uki ashi is in the Tomoru, right? And it's the second step you learn. Even in the Bansen Shukai, Fujibayashi Yasutake clearly states when you actually break into a resonance, you should use uki ashi or floating foot. What Kyoko Bushiri gives you that none of the other stealth walks gives you is a more wider range of vision. If I'm walking this way, I get to see this, right? But if I'm walking this way, I get to see from here all the way to here. So you get a more wider range of vision. Another aspect of the way, which I think is very important to understand, is Yagyu says, and he says it in the scroll. He said, for those that try to study this like a scholar, they know all the different parables, they know all the different paraphrases, and they study, the ancient words like a scholar. But because they don't put themselves through it, because they're not doing the training, they'll never understand the way. Food for thought. A lot of people take things like the sword and the spear and the bow and arrow and they throw it to the side, like those weapons don't exist in the modern day or we can't use them. And that's absolutely not true. I've told you guys before, principles remain. Techniques will change because technology changes and we change, and throughout the, like I said, shoes, clothing, etc. Technology. But the principles of war don't change. So but the way has to be done correctly. There are a million ways to skin a cat. I'm not saying that my way is the only way. So I want to get this, because you guys do hear me say, stay dedicated to this, do this, follow this path, do it this way. Because that is the way I learned it, and that is the way that I found it to be right. My way works because it worked. That's the way my master taught it to me. That's why I'm teaching to you, right? So the way works. There are more than one way. I found that jumping off the beaten path and saying, well, I want to do Kempo for 6 weeks, and then I'm going to do Jiu-Jitsu for 6 weeks, I'm going to do a 10-week course in Krav Maga, and then, there's a free trial lesson in Taekwondo for 2 weeks. I don't see how that can get you there. Now, some people would argue and say that's the way to go. Okay. And for those people watching the video where you guys do your, completely free, and let's go 2 weeks here, 2 weeks there, and a year here, a year there, first degree this, green belt in this, and blue belt in this, and all this kind of stuff. Thank you guys for your views. Thank you guys for your subscriptions. I got 50 plus DVDs. I've wrote 6 books and a lot more coming. So take everything I have, buy it, and then use it the way you want to use it. But you're not going to be my student, because I'm not going to take a student that can't be dedicated to me. And I think a lot of teachers in the martial arts, the problem is most teachers, they're not dedicated themselves. Like I talk about Bob and his big old fat ass. Why would Bob give a shit if you go off and do Kempo with this person and Jiu-Jitsu with this person, as long as you're paying for Kung Fu over here? Because all Bob gives a shit is that you're paying for your lessons. He doesn't care about you. If he gave a shit about you, then he wouldn't want to do that. How many of you guys have parents? How many of your parents said, you know what? I can't parent you good. So I want you to go to their parents and their parents and their parents, and then I'll parent you. That's absurd, isn't it? Isn't that fucking ridiculous? How many people of you guys ever followed a certain religion, right? You probably went to church. We've all went to a church. So you go to that church, and do you really have, one of you ever went to a church, a temple, whatever, and you get, or coven, or whatever it is you practice, and you go there, head priestess, preacher, minister, pastor, whatever it is, says, you know what? This is going to work for you. But I also want you to do Baptist and Methodist and Judaism and Muslim and pagan and Sikh and Druidry, and because then you really get good. Like, when the fuck did that ever happen? Has anybody who's ever attained a level of mastery say that? Never. The only people that say that are the people that never attain mastery. And I know you guys... One thing that people try to throw at me on the internet is an absolute stupid shit comment. They say I'm a hypocrite because, I may teach the 7 traditions, but I trained in all these other arts, and I did. I was one of those people that I went to Kempo and I did Jiu-Jitsu and I did this. I did a shit ton of arts. And I'm telling you through experience, that's why it's wrong. I'm telling you that's not the way, because I did it. And then finally in my life, I found a master. At the end of me being an apprentice, and me and my journey, at the very end, right, towards the end, Kobayashi Sensei gave me an opportunity that if you truly want this, you have to be dedicated. And I thought about that, and he's like, if you don't want to be dedicated, that's fine. Go do everything else. But if you truly want this, if you want to learn the secrets, you want to be really good at ninjutsu, and Kobayashi, if you guys don't know different teachers from me, but Kobayashi Sensei was Tomoru Shinobi Jutsu. And he says, if you truly want to be good at ninjutsu, if you want me to teach this, you have to dedicate to me. There is no other teacher, there is no other art, and at that time in my life, I already had teaching license and master level teaching license in different arts. Right? Now, in all fairness, another part you guys don't know maybe is Kobayashi Sensei was also my master in Eshinro Iaijutsu. So I know you guys always put Kobayashi Sensei with ninjutsu, but he was also Eshinro teacher too. So he said, if you want this, you have to dedicate to me. And at that time,
I was at that point was like, well, I have a jiu-jitsu teacher, and I do Kempo, but then I sat back as like, but am I learning something different? Am I really learning something more if I do more Kempo? So then I dedicated to him, and I was hesitant, but I did it. And that was the part where I saw the most beautiful aspect of martial arts, that special relationship between a teacher and a student, that bond, to where you could call them up and no matter what, they're there. Now, he was giving me hard truth all the time. There wasn't a day I didn't get my ass rode about something, ever. Y'all smiling because you know I'm throwing at you too. But there also wasn't a time that he didn't give me a compliment. He didn't ask if I'm okay. He didn't ask what's wrong. He may have rode my ass to the fucking ground, but he was always there if I needed it. And there was that special bond that that I never would have got if I didn't give that teacher-student relationship. Do you understand what I'm saying? And a teacher-student relationship, some people like to make it a similarity between like it ain't like a marriage. Because a marriage is supposed to be like, 50-50. There's not one over the other. Teacher-student, you have to put yourself below. You can't walk into teacher and say, yeah, I want you to teach me, I get this one. Yeah, I want you to teach me ninjutsu, but I already know Kempo. I already know Jujutsu. I already know Iaijutsu. I just want the ninja stuff. Well, you're not putting yourself in the position to be a student. Earlier we talked about what's simple and what's easy. Discipline is a very simple definition. Doing it is not easy.